Okay, let us see how to install the power plenum inside your gun. First thing you do is remove the air source from the gun, loosen it slightly, and wait for the hose to finish, and then you can unscrew it completely. Bottle is off. Second thing to do is release all the air from the gun. So you just cock it once and then you shoot it. Or second option is that you can loosen, turn this anti-clockwise, the center screw of the rack, and that will also remove all the air. So do it. Generally, you should release all the air from your gun. If it doesn't, then you just loosen this gauge a little and let the air go out. It's already out now, so this is fine. Remove the gauge from here, then remove the barrel. You can remove this one. Just remember, everything that you remove, you have to put them in the right spot. But this old hammer stop and the old rod and everything, old Plenum, you can keep it safe for just in case you have a leakage and you can't find the O-rings on time. You can temporarily put it in back in. It had this rubber ball here, and the new one does not have this one. They replaced it with the spring, but you can keep this one for your future use. And the next thing you have to do is you can pull this out with a long nose plier. You can take any sort of material to protect your metal rod. I don't care right now because I'm going to change it, and I don't need the old one anyways. It's just a reserve. Besides, if you just have to protect it from the nicks. That's all. As long as your plier has some protective material on it, you put some tape on your plier or something, like plastic bag, like I'm using right here, and then you just loosen this. So you remove this, and there's your gel ring. So I made this gel ring. I'm using this before, which is very consistent. This time you can remove your scope from from here. Now you remove the cheek pad. To the side. The next thing you need to do is you need to remove the mount here. In order to remove the mount, you put two marks on this side. So they go all the way on the body with some permanent ink marker, like I've done right here. Next, when I'm closing it, I can realign the lines here, and I'll know my scope won't be too much off from when I started doing it. You just lift it like this, leave the screws inside there, because like this. Take this block and keep it here as well. So here's the feet. So you can set the side on one side. Then you just pull this back, lift it up from here, put it completely back. What I have done here is I put blue Loctite on here, so it doesn't move. But when you take it out, it will be free to rotate. So if you rotate it in the wrong direction or something, then this will become, as you push the probe outside a little more, and then you'll have air leakage from this side, or pressure will drop. If you push it too much inside, like if you tighten it clockwise, then this is going to press too hard on the barrel, and the new barrel can get damaged with this thing from inside, or your barrel will push forward when you use it. You put that one on the side as well. Pull it out. So this is your previous Plenum. Next point, you open these four at the bottom. They're also different sizes, so it's better to leave them in, or you remember that two are shorter and two are longer. And either you place them on a piece of paper or something in a way that you remember where they go. I normally just pull it out from here, and I just leave the screws in here and put it on the side. If you have the side shot magazine, you'll have this spring and this thing at the bottom. When you open it, these might pop out, so it's a good idea to keep an eye on them, or if they pop out, keep them safe. So when you have putting it back, I'll show you how to install this back on. So we take this one, we loosen this screw now, and we pull the plenum out after loosening it. Let's see, I've already loosened it. Like, you won't be able to loosen it with one hand, but here. So you loosen that and you pull your old plenum out. After you do that, what I would do is put all this stuff, including the hammer inside here and hammer weight, everything on the rod, and keep it safe for any future use. So this is what I meant when I said, when you're pressing it, you should tighten this. If you tighten this beforehand, you can easily press it in without it getting pressed. Otherwise, when you're pressing it in, it will go like this, and you won't be able to lock it in properly. At this point, I have tightened this all the way in, and now I can just take the block here and push this in right here, and I can see that's all the way in, and that's all the way in here. The rod should also be all the way in there, but once we put the spring at the end, it will do it. So make sure you lube this properly in and very carefully put it in, because those O-rings get cut by the metallic part inside there very easily. Okay, so after you have installed it, don't tighten this as yet. Push it all the way in and then pull the rod out here like this, and hammer weight. It goes like this. So you go in just like this, all the way in. Okay. So one thing that I've cheaped out was not providing this with the kit, so you have to use old one of yours over here, which is a bummer, because after like some abuse, the threads on this thing get sort of all wonky, and it's difficult to screw back on. So it would have been better if they place a new one in here. It's not too expensive to make, I'm sure. They could increase like the price by 10 euro or something and include this in. But anyway, it's not included, and you have to live with it. You have to make sure this is aligned, otherwise if this is not aligned properly, then your valve will not operate properly. Just to show you an example of what goes on, like when you turn it, can see when it's not properly aligned, you can see the rod is now not straight in the middle, and you see the valve is not closing. So you have to make sure it's like rotate the way it's exactly in the center and the valve can close. After I rotated this around, I tighten the screw now. Everything is aligned. This is in the center, and the valve can move freely. You have to make sure that the valve is allowed to move freely. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of issues when you have to reopen the gun again. After that, you put the block on, carefully seating it so you don't damage the O-rings inside, and then you tighten this screw, grub screw in, so it's sort of straight. At this point, I put the Allen key and I tighten this all the way in. So you have to align it in a way that like the meteor side is on the bottom here. So after screwing in this one, then you can loosen the thread on here a little bit, so that both these holes are aligned properly with each other, and there is no plenum showing between them. So like, as long as the plenum is lower than both of them, you should be able to find for now. Fine adjustments can be done later, but this is where the barrel has to go through, and they should not be touching the plenum. So this is how it looks like after it's installed. You can see the pin is inserted in here in the block, and everything is lined up. So at this point, you pick up your rail as is completely, and then you put the rail back on here. Lining all the holes. Tighten all the screws. Do it in the X manner, like in the normal format that we crisscross like this. Like don't tighten them like this, but like this. That way the pressure is even on all of them while you're screwing it, and everything is aligned properly. Since our spring dropped out, we have to remove these screws from here. This thing goes in like this, sort of like put it in here, and then the spring goes in here, between here and here. Pressing it in, and I can see that it goes all the way in. If it does, then it's fine. The spring length is fine. Make sure it goes all the way in like that, not like here, or doesn't stop like here. So the spring is fine. We just have to screw it back in. Fine. We check if this thing is working. It is. This should go all the way in, releasing the thing. If it doesn't, then that means it's not working properly. So you have to make sure that it does go in all the way, and the magazine will actually release and not get stuck in there. After all this is done, you just check if your gun is actually cocking. It is cocking. Don't shoot it like this. Hold on to the lever and then sort of release the trigger. You have to check if everything is safety off. Safety is working. No, it's not. See, it's not shooting right now properly. So it's still not something properly screwed in. Okay, so I'm going to adjust it slightly, and now I'm going to check loads, trigger disengages, loads, trigger disengages, so it's fine. Put it on safety, load, put your hand here, press the trigger, it's not disengaging, it's fine, and then you check everything is fine. At this time, put the barrel in first. Screw the barrel in properly, and then you tighten the screws at the bottom. So I'm going to put the barrel in now. At this time, you put the barrel in. Make sure the screw is all the way loose here, and then just slide it easily like this. Once the barrel slides in, you check from here that it locks in properly. Here, locked in, everything, it goes in all the way. Everything seems fine. Tighten the barrel screw, release the hammer. There should be no resistance of the probe entering the barrel. And if you checked all this up, then you tighten this screw, tighten this one, and then we tighten this one as well. We are missing this, and we're missing our gauge, so we have to make sure we put the gauge back on here before we pressurize. Don't tighten it too much, just a little bit. I can remember with how it's aligned. There you go, that's fine. This time we put the cylinder back on, shoot down in the other direction, and then we start screwing it in slowly, because we don't know if it is leaking or not. You can see it's not pressurized yet. Pressurize it. There we go, it's pressurized now. Power plenum is installed. This is the FX1, and the gun is not leaking, holding its pressure at 145 right there. I have taken a few shots as well, and empty without putting anything in. You can see the gap on both sides here has to be identical. I put a line here and on the shroud, as well as two on over here and on the body of the gun, and they make sure that my scope aligns properly every time. But still, visually you should see that the gap on each side of the shroud is the same. There should be gap between the barrel and the cylinder as well. So if there is none, that means that there is some alignment issue as well. And there should be gap between, let's see if I can show you, there should be even gap between the plenum and the barrel as well. The loading should be smooth at this point. There should be no resistance, like it was before. So no changes in that. So that means your plenum is installed properly.